Lawrence of Arabia dies tonight.
A lot of players coming into this. Take your pick.
Yeah.
Whether it be your favorite YouTuber, your ex-pro, whoever it is, you've got them in this game. Who are you going to keep your eyes on here?
I think there's a few different people. I mean, somebody like X Factor, big Battlefield YouTuber, he's really into his weapons. He'll know which ones to pick. And then you've got somebody like Ponyline HD. He's really good in the vehicles. I can expect to see some good dogfights there today. But obviously, we've got the other end of the spectrum. We've got people like Ali A and Vicstar, who are both big FPS players in their own right. And I think they'll bring something different to the Battlefield today as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Drunks as well. Ex-Battlefield 4 pro player for Fnatic. He was a bit of a monster in his time, so he could have some fun here. But we'll see how much he's been able to put into this, because we are into it. And look how gorgeous this looks already. You can see this huge environment, and this map is not small.
This is only just a part of it. And, you know, that looked fairly big already. So here we go, with tanks rolling into the battle. And in the background there, you can already see some of the capture points. At the top of the screen, you can see there are 7 on this map.
So actually, in case people are new to Battlefield as a whole, maybe they haven't played the previous iterations and they're just watching this to see what's going on here, we'll jump into the content soon enough. Explain to us how this game mode works so people know what to be looking for here, Westy.
Okay, so Conquest is your bread and butter for Battlefield. It's like the original game mode. And, you know, you're fighting for control of the whole map. You've got various things that you need to be looking for, different capture points all over the map. And here already, as you can see, we are on board with Level Cap, and something that I think he's been doing quite a lot recently is playing with the Flame Trooper. Now, unfortunately, it switched away, but hopefully we can go back to that in a minute.
Yeah, we can definitely check that out. The horses are out now. We're going to have 3 games of this, so don't worry. We'll get to break down this content for you.
Yep,
and maybe all that Johnny Cash has inspired the Ring of Fire. You know what I mean? It all comes out now. We're going to see it going on. But yeah, this is the horse gameplay that we were looking for. Again, though, you're not going to get away with it. You can't just charge at 2 people and hope for the best. You will be taken down. It looked like the horse may have survived that, but the rider certainly didn't.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting point, actually. It's the horse is very similar to other sort of open vehicles where you can die, but your vehicle, or horse in this case, may survive, because the horse has a higher health level than you do.
So let's take ourselves through this map as well. What have we seen so far? It looks as though we've got kind of an...
Nice takedown.
What we're looking at so far is some sick sniping. All right, but coming back to the point, it looks like we've got a nice little area for what may be more infantry-based battling, and then you've got this huge landscape as well. There's quite a lot going on here.
If you imagine sort of like an oval shape to this map, at the top of the oval you've got an infantry section. It's almost like a little village, and we're in it now looking at some close quarters gameplay. And this really is sort of your destructible environment of the map. And there's a lot. In fact, I think there are 3 capture points on Conquest in this zone alone. So they are very close together, but they all vary a little bit. As you saw there, there's a capture point around the flag or the antenna. That there is a little bit more open, and then some of the capture points are further into these buildings, and obviously that creates even more close quarters gameplay. And then you go beyond that, and then you've got some of the capture points that are spread further around the edges of the map, and then you have one lone capture point right in the middle of the desert, in between all of the sand dunes. And that's one that's definitely going to be fought over with all the tanks and all of the biplanes flying over.
And I'm loving the diversity of weaponry we're seeing so far. Already, you've seen the shotgun coming through, clearing out that close range where in that infantry sort of area where they really flourish, you get to punish. And it looks like we're on board with CNAs. This is not prop hunt, I can tell you that right now. So you've got to get into the battlefield and do some work. So he's going to be going for it, going with the charge here, but you can see the punish come out from the others. Already set up very well. There's gorgeous rifles. Going to nick the horse and go for a ride. Why not?
Go for it.
It's up for grabs.
You may as well take it if you can. Unfortunately, he didn't manage to get away there, but you know, that was a valiant effort. I think he deserves some credit there. Always going for the anti-tank line on the horse. That was an interesting way to try and take that one down.
And so far, the horses look really good here. They look like they work with the map. They don't seem to be clunky or just out of place. They seem to be really having a purpose. However, the riders, on the other hand, are being punished. The plane crashes. This environment is absolutely beautiful. As you can see, as we take ourselves through this one, the teams are battling out hard. And actually, Westy, this is pretty close so far.
It is very close, actually. Obviously, the Ottoman Empire up there on the right have taken a 5-point lead or so. And actually, we'll talk about the point system here, because that goes back to the Conquest game mode. It's slightly changed in Battlefield 1. There's no ticket bleed anymore. You might remember in previous games, if you killed a player, the score would change. Yep. And the way that the scoring has changed as well. It no longer counts down to 0, it counts up to a top value. And to remove the ticket bleed puts further emphasis on all of those capture points. You have to capture the flags in order to gain points for your team.
And I think that's such an intrinsic thing with Battlefield, though. You play for the team, you play for the objective. You can't just win on your own. You have to be as one, and focusing on taking those points down is part of the plan. And taking yourself towards the caps here. And actually, let's talk through that there, because we saw the bayonet charge coming out. Now, I know some people know this, some don't. Again, you know, new viewers coming through may not realize that maybe that's not always the best idea to take yourself further into it, because maybe sprinting works out better. Can you take us through a little bit of that mechanics? I know you know about it.
Yes, I do. So the bayonet charge mechanic, obviously it's intended to take down a player. You charge straight into them with a very sharp object.
The pointy.
But it can be used in another way. And a lot of people have started using it to very quickly get themselves out of a sticky situation. Maybe they're caught in a crossfire, they don't want to be there, or there's a player in front of them, they're not ready to go. They turn around and they bayonet charge out of the way because you sprint so much faster. However, though, after that sprint, you can only walk, because obviously you've just gone for a fairly serious sprint. And you can't sprint normally after that point, and that can sometimes leave you very vulnerable.
Well, we're going to be seeing that up-close action here. The melee comes out, an absolute takedown comes in. That was lovely to watch. However, the tanks are doing the major work. I think that's actually X Factor in one of those, driving around, doing everything they can. But there are counters to this. Now, maybe new players that are going, well, how do you deal with a tank? You know, I'm just a man, but there are ways to get around this, isn't there?
100%. I mean, there are specific classes that are actually built to deal with that. And in this game, you're looking at the assault. And something that you might notice that you might not have seen before in previous trailers or gameplay from the alpha is that the assault players now have access to explosives. A bit like what you might call C4, but obviously a World War I version of that. So it's more like a dynamite stick. And that's something that you're likely going to see in the gameplay today. Very up close and personal, though. You have to get close to the tank to be able to get near enough to throw the dynamite. It doesn't stick like modern explosives do, so you have to be very close and sort of catch the tank unawares.
Yeah, and Stone Mountain trying to hold on here. The rest of his team was almost wiped at that point. His squad was in dire straits, so he's going to try and do what he can on the objective almost here, near that train station. Try and keep this one under wraps. You're going to see, actually, at the moment, it's the British Empire taking a strong lead, at least for now. The tickets don't reflect that just yet. And, oh, here we go. The train has been deployed. The hype train's about to come into the station here, Westy.
Yes, this is actually a really interesting bit, because even though it's a behemoth, and yes, it's designed to change the game, it really depends on how you use it. If you don't use it correctly, then you could actually leave yourself more vulnerable. It could go very quickly indeed, and then you've lost your chance to sort of change the tide of the battle. And
let's go down that route, actually, because we're going to see it in action very, very soon. The point is, it doesn't really get to the capture points, does it? It only really goes by one. It has an effect on a second. It does do damage. There's no disputing that.
Here comes the train now. And yes, it is on rails for anyone else out there who wants to make a joke about that. No, it is on rails, and it features 6 different seats, plenty of cannons on the side. It's actually got an anti-air cannon as well, so it is extremely powerful, not only to ground units, but people up in the sky really do need to pay attention as well.
Now, speaking of up in the sky, though, there has to be a counter to this, as you said. There are ways to play around these behemoths, because we saw on that first map, people were kind of unsure how to deal with it the first time. Then you see that everyone coming together, taking it down and working through it. How do you deal with that train?
Well, one of the things that you can do is, as an infantry unit, obviously, as I said, the assault player does have access to some explosives, but in my own sort of experience of looking at the games that we've seen, players in sort of planes are going to be the best ones to sort of
eyes in the sky here.
Yeah, eyes in the sky, really. You've got people in the bombers, and they're the ones who can deal a massive amount of damage. If they lay down a carpet of bombs on top of that train, they're going to do a massive amount of damage.
Well, speaking of it, you highlighted Ponyline HD as one of the players you wanted to watch for this ability. He's already eyeing up that train. He knows what he wants out of this one.
Definitely, but just so we can see here, this is a really good shot of just the scale of the map as well. It's absolutely massive. It is a huge map. You can see the objective off in the middle there. He's taking some serious damage, but he's going to come in, I think, for another strafe run if... Oh, he's going for the repair. He feels like he's safe enough to do that. But I think he's probably going to come in for another strafing run on that train.
And this is the beauty of Battlefield as well. It's not just about your infantry. It's up in the air. It's up in the skies. We're seeing those dogfights coming through. And now here comes that run again. The hit and run. Ponyline HD needs to back out of this. He's got to be careful. He is taking fire as well. They're not letting him just get away with this. And that's it.
The armored train took him out completely. Wow, that really does show the power of that train there. That's something that you do have to note, though, is that people up in the plains may be the best people to try and take this thing out, but you leave yourself extremely exposed to everything else up there as well, because you're concentrating on something on the ground, not the other plane that's now behind you shooting at you.
And also, let's bear in mind, because a lot of people get nervous about this stuff, how's that going to work? Is it balanced? Is it not? Keep your eyes on the tickets. They haven't gone drastically in one favor. It's more even the scoreboard. It's meant to be able to turn the tide of the war almost, and we've got a little bit of action. Cyber Wolf and whiffs the pistol shot. You're going to get punished there. The MP18 trench gun is going to deal with you very swiftly.
They tried to go for like a sneaky melee kill, but it didn't quite pay off. And you know what? It happens to me all the time. You try and go for it, and then the person turns around at the last minute, and of course they're the one standing there with a fully automatic weapon whilst you've got a bolt-action rifle. So, and that again is the beauty of Battlefield. It's the rock, paper, scissors mechanic. Everything has a counter. If you're going in for the melee, you better be aware that that person could turn around at any moment, and you've left yourself extremely vulnerable. Who have we got here? This is Driftor. He's taking the tank into perhaps uncharted territory, into a more infantry part of the map, but of course he's putting a lot of power behind those infantry units there.
Yeah, that's certainly going to do some great damage, but already you can still find this infantry battle going on. These buildings allow for perfect cover. The map, however, does change. The cover, it just completely removes itself throughout this battle. And again,
you can see here on the ground to the right-hand side, you can see the craters that have been formed in the ground. That could have been from a dumbfire rocket from the plane. It could have been the anti-tank grenade. There are so many things that you need to be aware of in this game, and terrain deformation is one of them. Suddenly, you might be able to use that as cover, but on other occasions, and most likely that cover has just been taken away. Yeah, it's interesting to note that that train was still going at that point, because the match has moved on a fair bit, but the train was still there, plucking away.
And look at where the flags have been capped here. Let's keep that in mind. Only 2 are secure, 1 for each team. So at the moment, it's actually fairly even. Both teams going for different objectives, both running at the same time. You are seeing the covering fire coming down, the suppression coming into the place. That flag is so contested right now. They're doing whatever they can. And at that sort of range, you're not going to have the best of luck with that sort of weaponry. And well, you're not going to have much more luck if you do that.
That says accident. I'm not sure what happened there.
A little backflip. It didn't go well.
We're still running in favor of the Ottoman Empire here, but the gap is only 10 points. And as I said, kills don't count towards that score anymore. So there is a lot of frantic toing and froing around these flags, but now you can see that the British Empire now have control of, I think...
That's a 4 lockdown at least.
That's a 6 lockdown now.
It's about to be. It's
about to be 6 lockdown. And as you can see, the British Empire catching straight back up now, reducing their lead. And this is really where Battlefield can completely change in just the blink of an eye.
And at the moment, the Ottoman Empire only clinging on to 1 point. That is not what you want to be seeing. And actually, let's talk a little bit about this sniper rifle as well. Let's talk about what we're seeing here, because you see people talking about zeroing, which you didn't necessarily see in that one, but bullet drop's a thing in this. It's not just your out of the box kind of easy shooter. This is tough work.
Yeah, you've got the bullets that you fire do actually travel across the map. They take time to reach the enemy that you're firing at. You've got bullet drop and bullet drag as well. For people who don't know what bullet drag is, that's where... Oh, look at that for a roadkill. That was fantastic. That was actually either a really good bit of skill or something extremely lucky. Either way, it was a cool bit of footage.
Look, no luck, just skill, 1 shot, 1 kill. All right, that's what I cling to, and I will always stick to that, Don't be a naysayer, or I'll have to bring out the horse puns, okay? But we are seeing still this back and forth going on. At the moment, the British Empire have turned it round towards more of their favor. However, the clock is running out here. We're down to 1 minute, actually under that. These are the final closing moments. If the Ottoman Empire doesn't come back into this, they could be done for.
Well, looking at it now, I'd find it extremely unlikely if the Ottoman Empire really managed to pull anything back at this stage. Only 45 seconds to go. They have taken back a couple of points, but they appear to be losing them just as quickly as they're taking them. Perhaps the players on the map, their distribution isn't great at the end of the round. Maybe they're just frantically trying to capture whatever they can. And that's part of Battlefield. It forces you to change what you're doing. So I think I'd like to see maybe a little bit more action around some of the bolt-action rifles, because I think in this map specifically, because it's so large, you really can take advantage of those sniper rifles in the right situation.
Now, anyone who knows me knows I'm a ridiculous fan of things like bolt-action rifles, or anything along those aspects. I love seeing that sort of gameplay, because I'm more an infantry person. Everyone in Battlefield seems to have their own type of how I like to play it. For me, I'm all about that life. And seeing already how they're kind of working in that nice little element that's just below that plane right there, as Stone Mountain is just taking the scenic route over the top. It just excites me incredibly. There's so many ways to play this game, and at the moment we're going to find out exactly how these guys approach it. Already though, GNA going to their, different sides. So the Ottoman Empire finds one, and the British Empire finds the other. But it's all about those middle points. How do they approach it? How do they get themselves into it? How do they cap those flags?
Yeah, and I mean, like, looking at what we've got going on up in the sky, you might think that they don't really get themselves in the battle. But if they're going for a strafing run on some of those objectives that are in the town there, maybe they get some destruction going on, they destroy a house, that gets rid of the cover. Maybe that sort of makes an inroad for their own team. So sometimes it might look like they're not doing much up there to help the people on the ground, but invariably they're doing some sort of damage that will have an effect on you at some point. It looks like we're all running in to the infantry area here and definitely taking good advantage of it, because from what we're looking at, it is a very well-designed section of the map, and looking at it, it is rather beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, I absolutely love this. They're all going in for C. That's the point at the moment. That's the heavily contested area. You can see the madness going down in this village area. You've got the sniper up on the roofs. You've got the assault classes running around the bottom. But there is that definitely they're utilizing, even words are hard, on those rock edges. You can really play around them and build off the back of it. And really, the terrain allows you so many more options. You don't want to be, highlighting yourself over the skylines. You want to be running just in front of the defilade almost. This changes so many aspects here, but let's see how these initial kind of back and forths have gone down.
Oh, we were just about, we've seen there.
Have we got a flamethrower?
I think we might have a flamethrower there.
We've got to find who's that on, hopefully.
We need to try and get some footage of that, especially not only the flamethrower, but we do have the sentry, which is the walking tank, as it's
the dad's strength. Right.
And we've got the tank hunter as well, which actually is on a point of the map that we haven't seen a huge amount of. The tank hunter on Sinai Desert is it's hidden away right in the middle of the desert underneath some cover, and you can pick up the anti-tank rifle there. You do have to go a long way to get it.
So it is a commitment.
Yeah, definitely a commitment. But you might, with an anti-tank rifle, it's almost a big, massive sniper rifle with armor-piercing rounds in it. You're going to be firing from perhaps a much further distance. So maybe you can use some of that cover that's out there, those big sand dunes, to really sort of disguise the fact that you're running around with an anti-tank rifle.
If any of these players have their headset off, you're going to make them all go and look for that now. I hope you're happy with yourself. You've encouraged these guys to go wander into the desert. They're going to be in trouble. Hopefully no sandstorm happens. But back into the action, that is going to be an incredible factor if it comes in. That's actually one of the classes I've not seen yet, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I think from what we have seen of it, it's only been very brief. I mean, I did get a small chance to have a look at it, and it is a rather dauntingly sized rifle. And it can only be fired in prone.
Everything. How you use it, and you have to prone with it, right?
You can only use it in prone, or if you prop it up against cover. You can't just be running with this thing and then fire it. It's got so much recoil to it that DICE have designed it so you can only fire it essentially with the bipod deployed.
And that's the thing that most people wanted to see, is how do they kind of balance into this game? How do they work around that? And oh my word, that horse was ambitious trying to take on a tank. Surely that's not going to go well, and it didn't in the end. The tank's still rolling. He's still happy chugging along. I don't think he even realised what happened then. No,
I mean, in many respects, like the horse is what it maybe tried to do there. It was something that I was talking to one of the developers about, is that the horses have like I don't like calling it feelings because it's a video game, but horses do have certain tendencies, and they are in the middle of a war, and they are sort of maybe a little bit jumpy, and they can actually sort of jump over cover if you approach it. So let's say maybe coming up to a small wall or barbed wire or something like that. As long as it's not too tall, the horse will actually attempt to jump over it for you.
And one thing I'll say, actually, and I'm a big fan of this, is how good it looks when they do this. And we actually can come to a moment here that we're seeing is this kind of mantling almost, but this really quite high mantling. They're pulling themselves over this, and it comes back to this again, though. The animation looks so smooth when they do this in Battlefield 1. It feels like they're actually working with the environment rather than working around it.
It doesn't feel like the environment is against you. Which is maybe something that a lot of people thought some of the older titles, where you walk up to a wall that's taller than you and you think, oh, I can get over that. And you couldn't. You just run up to it and
stand there
walk backwards and forwards, and then somebody shoots you in the back because you're not paying attention. But now in Battlefield 1, you can vault right up over that, pull yourself up and over. Obviously, you do slow down, but you will get over that cover, and that creates like a new layer of gameplay. Suddenly, that solid wall in front of you is no longer the cover that you thought it was.
And look at this beautiful gameplay. That's actually Anderzel coming out with this, so really nice work with that assault class. Just running around, he's got a great opportunity. Drunks gets absolutely wrecked, and I love seeing that. Nice try, Drunks. I see why you're not in Fnatic anymore.
Yeah, he is the ex-professional. He's no longer a professional. That's actually quite harsh. Never mind.
Hey, I'm allowed to do that, all right. You know, you got to abuse him a little bit. But actually, let's talk about Conquest as well and how this game mode works, and maybe some features that people don't really realize. You saw it then when the point was being contested that when they were on the capture point, it wasn't all red. There was a piece of blue, actually, in that sort of, I guess, you know, piece above whichever point you're capturing. What does it actually display, just for people who don't know?
Well, if we might see it a little bit more in the gameplay as we move forward, but it sort of appears above the capture point on the center of your screen, and it's almost like a little dial, and it goes one way or the other. And if the dial is sort of more one color than the other, obviously you're friendly, you're blue. So if the dial is more blue, that means that there are more of your players on that capture point. If it's more red than it is blue, then there are more enemies on that capture point. So as you can see here, we're on the antenna point, and you can see there was a lot more red on that line than there was blue, which means he's not going to take that capture point on his own, and he will simply have to fight off the people that are on it before he can start to take it.
And he's looking for high ground, it seems. I don't think he's got what he wanted here, so he's going to have to take the man-to-man fight, which may not be ideal at this point. He's already got a bit of a challenge coming from the other side. Going to try and find another route. This is the environment we're talking about. You're not locked into one approach. You find your own way through these maps, and he's going to take himself as best he can around this map and find a better way to approach it again. Still not in the perfect position for this sort of weaponry. He's got that scope on top. It doesn't really work in these close range elements, and you're going to find out exactly what.
A complete takedown there with the horse, trampled to death, just completely trampled to death by Game Riot.
So let's check in on the tickets as well here, because so far we're seeing 74 to 60, a fairly even game. 7 minutes, excuse me, not 70, 7 minutes left overall. That'll be a little bit longer. So this has been a very close affair. It seems that the spawns coming in, the way these teams are playing this out, has been very even, but.
Oh, what did we
Nice
see
try.
there? What did we see there? And as you can see on the screen, here comes the armored train again. And something interesting that you'll notice, the flamethrower. We can see it for the first time. As you can see on the screen, you'll notice that it's a little bit darker than perhaps a normal person's view. That's because the Flame Trooper, the elite class, has a permanent gas mask on. And that sort of fits the role because it is a flamethrower, so perhaps you might want to protect yourself from that heat. But at the same time, it means that they can't be damaged from gas grenades. It's kind of like a little balancing feature. One thing you have to remember with the Flame Trooper, though, is it's really only effective in close quarters. That flamethrower isn't going to reach very far. You did see there, he was taking a lot of damage from the soldier. It was a little bit further away from him. That was an extremely brutal takedown. That was rather epic thing to see. And as mentioned, the train is on its way in. On the right-hand side of the screen, by the score there, you can see the train's health up at the top. You might notice that steadily decrease as the train moves further into the map, starts to attract a little bit more attention. Oh, it's interesting. It's at the train station right now, perhaps where it should be.
It's found its place in life. Nice.
I think that's something that you mentioned earlier, actually. We didn't really expand on it. The train itself moves through the map. It can be controlled by the driver backwards and forwards. It can be stopped in one place. And it does have effect on a couple of the flags. This one here, the actual train station, and there's a couple of flags either side, I think one either side, that it can have an effect on. So if you've got a good route going backwards and forwards, the behemoth there can sort of take back maybe 3 flags in one stint, which could be extremely helpful.
It really can be, and it does, as you said previously, provide more than just that, though. It doesn't just play that capping role, it is the damage it provides. It draws people in. I don't know what it is about it. It's like the black hole. Everyone just kind of piles towards it, which may be good for them or not, we'll find out. But already, the points are becoming more even. It is serving its purpose, and I know a lot of people were nervous about its implementation. How is it going to work? Does it, how's it going to go down? Actually, so far in this playtest, at least, what we're seeing from these guys, it is actually turning it around when you have that big deficit on your side. You can pull back in, and oh, that's absolutely brutal. That was a takedown and a half.
He didn't expect it because he turned around to see the bayonet going straight through his chest. That was a rather interesting, just a good overlook here, actually, of the map, so you can see the scale of it. It is absolutely massive. Really love that spawn-in animation, though. You swoop down onto the map. It's really cool. And even here you can see the scale. Look how far away from all the objectives he is. He's got quite a lot of running to do before he'll reach some of those objectives out there.
And it's so deadly just walking across that really open environment. You will get punished if you do. You've got to find ways to find cover or maybe utilize those horses. As Lars kind of brought into the conversation, they do have some fair speed on them. Those things aren't slow. They can surely pull yourself into the battle, so maybe look at those to pull yourself in towards maybe a more infantry style, or sit back with the sniper.
100%. I mean, the train here actually is going down rather quick. We haven't seen a huge amount of gameplay of it, which is a little bit unfortunate because, again, it's gone down very quickly. But what you can see is the British Empire have got control of about 4 of these flags, which is sort of put them behind a little bit because the Ottoman Empire came back into the lead there, but it's almost neck and neck.
Oh no.
100 points each. That was a rather epic little crash right there.
He can pretend he meant it by going to the B point. That's it. He'll just be like, that was tactical actually, guys.
He was
Do
just
not
parking
worry.
it. He was just parking it.
And actually the thing we were saying was that open terrain you had to traverse being such an issue. Actually, now that the train's been dealt with, you can see the plumes of smoke covering the battlefield. You can use that as cover.
Yeah, suddenly that becomes like a barrier to the desert that's out there. There's like a strip of this smoke that's going along, and although it doesn't look like a good amount of cover, if there are enemies on the desert side of it, further out to the left-hand side of the screen there, they're not going to see you on the other side of that train, which is an interesting thing to think about, especially because the train station itself, you can see there, has got quite a lot of the original parts of it destroyed. So although it's not exactly the same location,
what is that in the distance? Is this what I think I'm seeing?
That looks like a sandstorm.
That looks terrifying. The train is scary, okay? As a gamer, that scares the life out of me. But oh my word, this is enveloping the whole map. It's just rolling in from the distance. Players are going to have to pull themselves into closer range here. Surely they can't play in this.
Because look, you can start to see the effect already. With 3 minutes of the game to go, with the score being tied, how is this going to play out? It could be really interesting.
Yeah, this changes the whole aspect of the game. This is the beauty of Battlefield to me, that you just get to see this incredible environment change in the blink of an eye. Now, speaking of blink of an eye, you're going to be blinking for a while. You can barely see in front of your own hand. That's incredible. This is going to be much better to be playing in this close range. You might have to switch away from those snipers, play towards more the assault or something else, because that is impossible to see, and the spam's coming out. All right, the memes is, thank you for the memes. But you can see the effect it's having.
Definitely. I mean, one thing that the Sandstorm does do is, as you said, it brings the gameplay in a little bit. But in this infantry-only area, it's put sort of like a grayscale over certain parts of it. But you'll see it's still very much visible. So perhaps we'll see a lot more gameplay in this infantry section simply because the Sandstorm was rolled in. And you know that going out into the desert at the moment, not being able to see 20 feet in front of you is probably a very bad idea.
It's not what you want to be doing. And looking at how the teams are currently positioned, the British Empire is actually kind of stuck out towards the desert side, whereas on the other side of things, the Ottoman Empire has a little bit of control, or at least trying to contest the control towards the more infantry. Oh, that was a 6.5 Stody coming in with the goods. Now, he's actually the captain of one of these two teams.
He is. He is the captain, and he is one of the best battlefield snipers out there. You'll probably see a few more shots from him pulled off all over the place. But actually, looking at the score, the Sandstorm is still there. The score is tied pretty much at 128 each, 127, 128, with only a minute to go. So this literally could come down to the wire.
This is Battlefield to me. These sort of battles, when it gets hectic, when it gets absolute, he's ready, he's focused, and we're back into the battle.
This, I think, is where you've now seen these guys on the map twice. We've seen them in the Sandstorm as well. They kind of know everything that there is to know, at least at an entry level now, of what's going on in this map. So you might see some more maybe risky plays in the final round, especially if the Ottoman Empire do have to take the win. Then maybe they have to take some risks in order to try and get a few more flags than the British Empire.
Yeah, they're going to have to get off their high horse and get into the battle.
Oh, here are the puns.
You just love the puns. I'm just going to keep throwing them out now. You know what I mean? Like this is my life. Horse puns. I haven't really trained ones yet, though.
One thing I will point out whilst we look at the screen here, we look at actually these Jeeps. It's rather interesting. The armoured vehicle has access to mines that come out. That was a rather funny killer. Oh my God! It happened again. Yeah, the armoured vehicles have access to mines that can be dropped out at the bottom of the vehicle.
Ooh,
something that
have we seen that yet?
Well, listen to this. One of the players earlier on today tested to see whether those mines would damage the armoured train. Now, the only way that you can damage the armoured train with a mine is that you have to put the mine on the tracks. You can damage the train with the mine.
See, these sort of mechanics is what I love about this, is you see players working out new aspects, and burn, baby, burn. You're seeing the fire coming out, and there's just charcoal everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the barbecue of Gamescom 2016. It's all kicking off. He's going to try and find some cover there. You can see the fire coming back in. But it is heating up here in this final round. The Ottoman Empire is ahead, but by a very small margin.
I think if they don't take the lead significantly early on, they might find it difficult to really feel comfortable in the round, because obviously so many good players on either team. That means that anybody could really change the game at any point. I think you were trying to open the window. I think they were trying to do that.
I just think they were really frustrated. You know, you got to take it out on something, and that window was there, and you're seeing the movement. Now, Anderzel is good at this. I don't want to hype him up too much, but he should be nailing this one, and that's going to be a double if I've ever seen it. He's got to follow up. The pistol comes out. He goes for the melee, doesn't need it. Vikkstar just got punished, and now he's in a good position with this rifle. Another
is he going to go for the third?
Ammo guy, turn around, please. Just, the charge. Oh, my word, that is sick. Anderzel, you are doing the damage. You're doing the work, and that is what we will be seeing this morning. There we go.
The celebratory,
he promised.
Celebratory victory crouch.
Is that what you call it?
I think that's probably what we should call it now.
Technical term.
Victory.
He did promise he would do that if he did something good. So, you know what? At least he keeps up to his promises. But let's see how the landscape is now evolving. What are we seeing at the moment here, score-wise? Who's in control? Who's in the lead?
Well, like I said, if the Ottoman Empire didn't take an early lead, which they have, they might struggle to hold on to this one, but they are now double ahead of the British Empire in a comfortable position at the moment. But as we know in Battlefield, anything can change at any point. We've got 11 minutes left of the game. You know, that's plenty of time for the Brits to come back and do something about it. Yeah,
there's loads of time. There's still trains. Sinanas gets flanked on by Anderzel. He was holding that position. He was trying to play hide and seek, keep up to what he normally does, but it doesn't work here. Anderzel's onto you. He's got things to do, and now he's going to follow up some more. Not going to get it that time, though. He gets shut down in the end. That's what we wanted to see there. A little bit of a, he's got to be reminded that he's human at this point. But still, let's take a look at how the landscape's evolving as well, because this is another factor here that, the cover that once stood will be taken away. And already that train station is looking worse than King's Cross at this point.
You can see those two empty carriages there. They are obviously intact and full at the start of the round. They don't provide a huge amount of cover, but, they still stand as structures. And you see somebody using it as cover right there. At the start of the round, they would have been, more beneficial to use. But now, it's like sort of looking through a fishing net. You can see straight through it.
Oh, that horse isn't going to be in a good way. Lovely covering fire. Let's see if the sniper can do anything.
Trying to do the lead here on the sniper with the travel time.
But look at the serpentine from the other player. They're going to see those bullets, the tracer fire coming in. They're serpentining like a madman.
He was using some of that smoke as cover as well. Not sure he knew that, but the sniper couldn't see through it.
He's just a genius. Next
if
level
I run
gaming.
over here, he'll never know. But no, and that's something I think that as you play more of Battlefield, you will start to learn some of these higher level tactics. I mean, I'm not saying serpentine is a high level tactic, but you know that it's going to make it a lot harder for the sniper with his rifle to hit you, or if you run behind cover, or if you know there's some smoke there and you use that as cover.
Well, especially on maps like this, there's things called silhouetting, and it's more classical to maybe even other games, but you do see it in Battlefield on occasion. But here, on this sort of environment, you're going to see that very arid terrain in the background. If you silhouette over the top, if your player, the complete body, shows up against this blue sky, you're going to be a very easy target. You've got to run against those defilades, you've got to use the terrain to your advantage, and you're going to be seeing these guys trying to make a mad dash towards that sea point, try and get back over there, but there is no rest for the wicked.
There is not. I mean, we're seeing a lot of action on this map around the infantry zone, and something that we haven't seen, and I don't know, maybe this is just the people that are playing, but we haven't seen a huge amount of footage of the middle of the desert objective, the E point, and that's something that maybe we could get a good look of later. I'm not 100% sure. It would be nice to look at that, just so that you guys at home can have a good overview of the whole map.
Yeah, and actually, just in
Here
case,
we go.
There it
As
is.
if by magic.
Little oasis out there.
So this is right in the middle of the desert. It's about 500 meters from the other objective. So it's a long way to go. And if you look at all the cover that you've got there, all of those sand dunes, that flag there is perfect for a tank battle. That's probably going to be the flag where you've got tanks coming in from one side on the Ottoman Empire, tanks coming in from the British Empire, and they're going to meet at that flag and fight over it for the entire round.
Because at the moment, that's been a free pickup for the British Empire. They've had that in their pocket for as long as I can remember. They haven't been particularly challenged. Now, actually, again, just in case people are new to Battlefield, what is that sort of gun we saw there? Or not necessarily a gun. What does that sort of serve a purpose for?
I think what that is the spotting flare. Now, that is available to the scout class as a gadget. And if you pop it up over an objective or anywhere in the map, it will show up the enemy locations on your mini-map. It won't show them up on the screen in front of you, it will show them on the mini-map. And that's obviously a very helpful tool for not only you, but the rest of your teammates who are in that location. And obviously they've then got to go and find that person. They could be on the 3rd story of a building, or they could be on the bottom, you don't know, but you have a general idea where that person might be.
All right, so let's check it back with the tickets, how the whole battle is now evolving and going forward and how it's got to this point. The Ottoman Empire is actually in the lead.
Yeah, they're in the lead.
Not by much.
Their lead is not as big as it was. The British Empire have reduced it somewhat, and now the armoured train, I believe, has been given to the British Empire. So the Behemoth is going to the team that are losing currently. They're only 10 tickets behind, which is not a massive amount, but could that armoured train just sort of be the key to push them back into the lead?
Well, let's see if it, for one, helps them stabilize having control over the train station as a capture point. That's what I'm looking at, is how much does it feed into it. You can see the train station is going back and forth here. The snipers, though, are looking in their direction. You know that this cover is absolutely vital for Anderzel. He's going to be playing this as best he can, deals.
That was when he used a tiny little box to defend himself from a player on a horse. That was absolutely fantastic. That there was a really good piece of use of cover.
There we go. Now the horse.
See the horse? Oh, see the horse is just there. It's ready for anyone else to take.
And you can actually see that on the map itself as well, can't you? It shows up as an icon, so you know where they're available if someone's on them or not.
It shows up as, I think it's a little horseshoe, isn't it? It shows up on the mini-map in the bottom left-hand corner. Now, the armoured train, as you can see, is on the right-hand side of your screen up at the top there. You can see it started to take damage already, coming down to about 80% health. It does have a massive amount of health, but like we were saying earlier, those explosives will do quite considerable damage against it. Looks like we're using the rocket gun here. I don't know if we're near the train at this point, because the rocket gun would be a really effective tool to use against it.
Yeah, I've seen Drunks trying to do that before when I think it was, shoot on the other foot, but I don't think he needs to be doing that right now. Let's see what damage comes in towards that train. Again, let's remind ourselves, when that train did come into play for the British Empire, they're around 70, 69 points. So you can already see it has had an effect on this, but it is being countered, it's being pressured, and the Pony Line HD is doing what he does best, already coming in with the a good bout of damage there, really chipping away at it, and it's creating pressure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if he's up in the sky all game, obviously you're going to be focusing on the other planes, but as soon as that train comes in, he's already got it in his head. He knows what he's supposed to do to get rid of it. And at the moment, even though they've had the train for about a minute or so, the British Empire haven't really done a huge amount with it yet.
Well, they haven't taken the lead. That's the main thing. They've closed the gap. However, the HP is starting to dwindle. It's not looking so healthy here. They're still not getting much done. They have secured the train station point. So it gives you that as a back, a little bit of a back piece, a chest piece in your pocket almost. But if they could maybe go and capture the one all the way down there towards the west, the very deep west, that would be brilliant for them. Maybe follow up towards F. They have options available, but still 9 tickets in the lead here for the Ottoman Empire. They have the advantage, but it looks as though that one is done and done for. The smoke plumes and the train, well, comes off the tracks.
Yeah, I mean, that cover's not going to be any help to anybody there. It died in a part of the map that really is just complete open desert. Yep. So that cover we were talking about earlier is just not going to be available. And if we look at the score again, the British Empire are still 10 points behind. So that train, they didn't use it effectively enough. They didn't get to the objectives. They didn't take it. And therefore, they've now lost their chance with the Behemoth. That was so close to being such a good kill. That was so close.
Tag. All tag, no frag. That's not fun. That's not fun. But looking at the points under wraps right now, the one thing we'll say is it's a big difference in the way the teams are focusing this. So the Ottoman Empire is taking out the deeper points. They're going into that desert. They're going to go exploring. They're picking these points up and putting them in their back. Now, on the other... No, it's really...
It's not going to be very good at all.
So, early dominance coming out for the Ottoman Empire here. They are in a very good position thus far, putting themselves up on, it was almost 5 caps to 2. Well, actually, however, 3 of them are now being contested.
Yeah, and that means the British Empire are making some inroads. And that obviously they need to do as much as they can. And I can actually hear, I overheard that on the speaker, X Factor saying, get that cap. These guys, they're obviously playing in the live stream. They're here to show you this brand new map. But for some reason, I can't figure out why this means so much to them.
What can I say?
We're probably going to see some really good
build off the back of it. However, that's yet to come in. So look at it again. 74 tickets to merely 38, although all of them are being contested.
What is going on with the British Empire? They all gone and taken a break. What's going on? It was a nice takedown there.
But did he need to do that? He saw 2 players there and went, do you know what? I'll go for the takedown rather than the kill.
Maybe it was a rush of adrenaline, like, you know, you're live on Twitch. You need to impress, so it could have been that. Again, we see a good use of the charge mechanic, getting across the road there. But now, he can't move very quickly inside this building. It's good that he's in cover. You know, that's a good way of using that mechanic. But you do have to be careful. If you decide to leave yourself out in the open, and then that's not going to be a good situation to be in.
Again, though, this is what happens once these players get their head around the maps, how they work. Where can I use that bayonet charge? If there's cover I'm going to, that I can maybe, you know, hunker down in for a little bit. Go ahead, that makes perfect sense. But let's dive into the action and see how that's come down, because there's a lot of those points up in the air to start with. Now it's starting to come, again, fall into the Ottoman Empire's hands. I don't know how this is happening. This is the most, not one-sided, but this is the most drastic game we've seen so far. The pressure might be just getting to the British Empire. Are you okay down there?
I think he might be having a little bit of a problem.
He's struggling. It's tough.
You can see that the British Empire are trying to make inroads. They do have, well, they did have their hands on 2 objectives, but as you can see, the F objective there is taking some serious heat now from the Ottoman Empire. Whatever it is, they must have a good distribution across the map. They must have a few players here and there that are running between these objectives and helping to keep them under their control. And as you can now see, the armoured train has come in for the British Empire, as we thought it would.
I mean, they need it.
They definitely need it right now. But, again, they need to make sure they use it effectively. As far as I could tell from that last shot there, at the moment it appears there's only a driver in this train. And already you can see the Ottoman Empire are all over the train. It's taken a little bit of damage, and it's not even come anywhere near the centre of the map yet.
Now, I'm wondering who we have in the skies for the other side. For the Ottoman Empire, who is going to be the counter to this? Okay, we got
Mr. Dalek JD here coming in with a bomber.
Oh, he was in the sky. This could be one of the big issues here.
Ponyline
HD is the man in the sky. So he is the, I guess, if you want to call it that, a hard counter. He is defeatable, 100%. But he is the hard counter. So again, you're seeing this going back and forth. And now he's got his eyes set on how to take down that train. Look at it, taking an absolute beating. Now 50 tickets in the lead. The Ottoman Empire is stretching their legs.
And a good shot of the flamethrower there. That was really good use of the flamethrower. Wow. He knew the player was a little bit too far away. He was taking a bit of damage, so he stepped round the corner, waited for the player to reappear, and came round with the flamethrower and just took him down.
That's just smart gameplay already coming.
The train is down to a quarter of its health.
And what difference has it made? Let's look at the actual difference. It has given them stability here. That's the only thing you'd say. It really has opted them a chance back in. It opens a window of opportunity, but they have to walk through it, and they've not done that just yet. The train's about to go down. It's done for. There's no 2 ways about it.
What they need is a hard counter to Ponyline HD.
Pretty much.
I wonder if the developers thought to include that.
They need it. Please nerf that one player.
One thing you've got, though, is I think maybe some people have the concern that the behemoths are too powerful. I think single-handedly, Ponyline has proven that that is not the case. If you are skilled at doing something in the game and you can counter something that is powerful, then you've got the opportunity to maybe use the behemoth against the enemy team, think they've got hope, and then it's already gone.
Now, this is where things get interesting, though, Westy. This is when, previously, the British Empire did actually have opportunities to turn it around, and they did that before. However, they have not had the same benefit off the back of the behemoth there. They've not had the great time, and you've just missed on the charge. Now you're in a bad... But at this point, they're still pulling it a little closer, but not by much. Not by a huge amount, no, not at all. I mean, the only saving grace I think that could really come to the British Empire's aid, and you should never rely on Mother Nature to provide, but if the sandstorm was to roll in, then, you know, it might provide them a little bit of cover to maybe take back some of these objectives. But with such a large ticket gap, is it really going to make a difference at this late stage? With about 3 minutes left to go, that ticket gap is still very, very big. I'm not even sure they could turn it around at this point. Not unless the Ottoman Empire just stood still. Yeah, that's the thing. Even just contesting points, slowing down the cap, would be huge for, you know, the British Empire. I think they'd start to struggle on that one. Again, for them, though, they've got to fight till the very end. And I think that's seen as they go for a nice little charge, just having a little run around the map, look and see what he can find. And I don't think there's anyone really too nearby him. However, you can see already, he knows there's someone there to take this fight. Well, as you can see, above the F icon there, you can see that little bar with the red and the blue. Well, you could see it because he's now dead. Yeah, but that showed that that point was contested, and we could tell that from the gameplay.
So here's an overview of the map, or there was an overview, and as you can see, it's kind of evenly split in terms of the flags that we've got, but that means that each team is gaining tickets at the same rate, so that gap is not going to change. And that falls into the hands of the Ottoman Empire. They were clearly stronger at the start of the game. Maybe now, again, the British seem to have stalled them a little bit, but they haven't really gone much further than that.
Yeah, it takes more than stalling at this point. However, we're seeing the battle still commencing. No one's giving up on this one. It's still very much up in the air. And you can see Anders out looking for more opportunities, trying to find a way to work his way back in and taking down some of the buildings around him, trying to cause damage to the structures itself so he can allow his team to make the push towards, you know, possibly getting towards B, opening up avenues of attack. And that looks like where they're going here at this point. A little bit of a fire coming down. And he does actually manage to find Dalek there as well, so still doing great deals of work.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming towards the end of the round now, and, you know, it looks like near enough a foregone conclusion that we've got for the Ottoman Empire. And, you know, it has shown off a lot today of the power that players have in Battlefield. It's not all about the equipment that you've got, it's about the person behind the equipment, because it's quite clear that the Ottoman Empire have got some players on their team that really know how to use their equipment.
It's fantastic to see. Again, I just can't wait to see more of this already. We're already just getting a glimpse of what's been capable here. And
wow,
these...
ouch.
Oh,
Dalek
no,
JD taking down Level
ouch.
Cap there. That was a rather brutal takedown, I must say. About a minute to go, the Ottoman Empire pretty much have sealed the deal here.
Yeah, points-wise, this one looks done for. Finally, we have the victor after everything. After going all the way through that, it was a gritty battle, to say the least. So in the last minute, they can reflect on that and be incredibly proud of what they've been able to achieve here. A massive victory in the end, just to really cement that they, you know, we were the better team. We made it look close, you know, those draws, but actually, we've got this. So again, though, overall, the scoreboard looks phenomenal. I can't wait to see who's actually been playing well, over, you know, from the entire course of this game. But.
The legend of Lawrence of Arabia dies tonight.